Hello and welcome back to Have Your Say one-on-one shadowboxing. Today our guest at WTV Studios is Robin Scott, who is a newly elected member of the Upper House in Western Australia and representing the One Nation. Robin, everyone is worrying about the young people, and I think everyone worrying about them because we couldn't see where their life is really going. What do you think about the future of the young ones in Australia?
Well, at the moment...
Not just the privileged one, but all the young ones.
No, it's very dismal at the moment. Again, going back to apprenticeships, if a young person has an apprenticeship, he automatically gets a tradesman, he has a mentor, he has somebody to look after them and encourage them to do the right thing. Not only would that encouragement help them to look after themselves once they become tradespersons, they'll be able to look after themselves, their families. It would cut a lot of crime, a lot of violence. The street graffiti wouldn't be the same because the people would have a purpose in life. They don't have to be bored and go out at night with their friends and get up to mischief. That happens so easily. That's what happened in Scotland. I watched it and I'm just seeing it being repeated here because of high unemployment. Young people need to be stimulated. They have to be encouraged. They need a mentor. They need somebody to look up to. If you look at Mike Tyson, the boxer,
Yep.
He was a bad guy. I've just finished reading his book. The guy's, I reckon he's a great person now after reading his true story. He had a mentor when he was 14 years old. I can't remember his name, but he was an Italian trainer. And Mike Tyson done all the right things due to that man. And
so it's learning and
learning.
patronage and apprenticeship. That's what it's meant, to learn from someone. Everything of life skills and the trade.
Everything. I was so fortunate with my mentor. I had a guy called Neville Riley. He was hell-bent on making sure that I learned the right things about the trade. That man never once raised his voice at me, he never swore at me. He just concentrated on downloading the information that he had into my brain. And without that mentoring and that encouragement, I wouldn't be sitting talking to you today.
But, Robin, some people say, and probably rightly, partly rightly, that why should we need apprentices when we not have the productive industries around in Australia in general?
We don't have a lot of them because we don't have the people to do the work. But the apprenticeships that I'm talking about can be in mining. They can be with the utilities. We've got electricity companies, we've got gas companies, we've got water companies. They can take on lots more apprentices. And there's a lot of small companies around in Perth, service industries, who would willingly take on apprentices if they were encouraged financially and perhaps cut payroll tax. Sorry, they allow them to negate their payroll tax for all apprentices. So that's a saving to the employer.
It's a big saving, yes.
It's a big saving, yeah.
And I heard that you suggested an extra from the government to pay some percentage of the
One
wages
Nation proposes that first year apprentices, we pay 75% of the pay, second year 50%, and the third year 25%. But we also intend to reintroduce apprentice inspectors to make sure that unscrupulous employers are not hiring apprentices just for cheap labour. The apprentices have to be taught all aspects of the trade. So when they finish their apprenticeship, in the old days you used to be a journeyman for 3 years. Once you finished your apprenticeship, you went round for the next 3 years picking up all the good ideas and polishing your skills that you've learned. We don't have that now. There's guys that are wiring houses up during their apprenticeship, and that's what they do for the next rest of their life. They wouldn't know how to fix a hot water system or a fridge, but they know they're really good at wiring houses. Well, that's all wrong. That's not a trade. You have to understand the electrical trade. I know I sound biased towards the electrical trade, but that's one trade I know about. It's like a tree. There's so many branches in it. You can go anywhere you want to do. and anything you want to dream of doing.
But what's happening with the mining industry when even Mrs. Hancock said, better to go to Africa to bring cheap labor than have apprentices or employ flying flyouts?
Well,
What do you say to that?
look,
That's one of our sort of West Australian icon,
well,
and that's the opinion.
I'm not going to rubbish Mrs. Reinhardt. She's done a great job building that mine up there. Wonderful job. I think she just got misled a little bit about bringing Chinese and African workers in.
Yes.
If Mrs. Reinhardt wanted to be more famous than anybody else in Australia, she could easily employ a few apprentices. There'd be boilermakers, welders, fitters, electricians, plumbers. She could train them up to her standards, and I'm sure she has a very high standard. She's not doing what she does now because she's slack.
So why didn't she done it?
I don't understand that. I really don't. It's something you'd need to ask the lady herself.
So that's what I meant by this question is, if this is in the heads of the industry members, rightly or wrongly, why is get there? We don't know. Into their head, obviously, because the money, some way, is how do you want to, or one nation want to achieve what we're talking about with the apprentices, if we got this sort of non-understanding of the industry?
Because the companies are not being asked to take on apprentices. Nobody's gone out there. Me, I'm going to be the arms and legs. I'm going to get out to the mining industry. I'm going to ask them, can you take on 10 apprentices a year? Can you take on 20? You've got a huge mine site here. What's stopping you taking on apprentices? We will help you. There's so many young kids out there who would do anything to get an apprenticeship. And we'll encourage the mines to take them on. We'll even talk to the government. All government projects should be filled with apprentices. That's where we'll fill in the, find the jobs for apprenticeships.
Another issue, which you're probably familiar with and you think is important, our resources. We got all the resources what we need, and we still not managed to have our budget in balance. And now with this new hysteria of gas and the shortage of gas, when we are now the first one in the whole world in WA to producing and having the reserve more than any countries in the world, and we're talking about that rubbish. Why is that?
The answer to that is simple. Just poor management. It comes down again to the government.
How can they have poor management, or the government, or the companies? Which
no,
one?
the government.
The government. Okay,
The
because the
government
company is
just-
making shitload of money.
Yeah.
And they're making profit, and they're not paying the taxes.
No,
in here.
good on them. Good on them. Why shouldn't they do that? BHP, Rio Tinto, they should be making heaps and heaps of money because it's their job to produce good returns for their investors. They're not doing anything illegal.
No,
Well,
but
our
they're
government-
cleverly using the legal
Yes,
things,
yes.
like Chevron or the
Yeah.
American other companies
Exactly.
here.
But that's-
billions of dollars
Yeah.
per year in the past 3 years. The whole payment is went like that. Production is went like that, still up,
Yeah.
and the payments which we received from all
Went
sources
down.
is almost diminished compared
Exactly.
with 10 years.
But whose fault's that? It's not their fault. They're doing a great job. Ask any of the shareholders.
Oh, they're happy
It's
as
the
Larry.
government.
They're
We need-
dancing
yeah,
and
we-
drinking champagne.
we
and
need the
they're getting,
people.
you know what, each of their managers, $18 and $16 million per year.
Good on them because they deserve it. Look at the profits they're making.
They're huge.
I'm being cynical here,
No,
right?
you are practical as well, but shall we then dismiss our employees, you know, the politicians who are playing the dickheads?
No. The politicians are not going to be the ones that are going to fix this. The politicians,
Not?
we've got to get the people, we've got to get contractual negotiators.
On that note, we finished for today. Thank you very much for being here, and good luck for your actions in Parliament. And I hope to talk to you again when you got something to tell from the floor.
Thank you, Tibor. Thank you for the invitation. Thanks.
Don't forget, next week, same time, same channel, one-on-one shadow boxing. Have your say.